Hello, Sarah Sabin, transformational leadership and business coach here in the Leading in the Modern Way video interview series. And I am super excited to have with me here today Alex Landowski, who is Managing Director of Medical Laboratories. So, Alex, welcome to the show. And would you like to introduce yourself briefly to my audience?
Hi, Sarah, and everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Alex Landowski. I'm a co-founder and managing director of Medical Laboratories. Uh, it's a new one of my new businesses, really, which we started running recently. And the idea behind it is to be obviously a medical laboratory, but also a end-to-end healthcare provider.
Mm-hmm.
We're based in central London in Holborn. This is where I'm actually sitting now. So we have clinical rooms for GPs. Reception area, laboratory for running your blood tests. And that's basically, in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Thank you for sharing that. I can see in the background like a whole conference set up. So tell me, in the course of running your business, getting into the meat of this, could you describe some of your most significant challenges that you had right at the beginning in growing your business to its current stage? And how did you overcome some of those challenges?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can answer in two separate topics, sort of that. Our first business essentially I opened is called Medical Logistics,
Mm-hmm.
and it was strictly a logistical company. That's my background. My background is in logistics. And obviously the hardship was to just get clients on. I'm an ex-courier. I used to do deliveries and then build a business. And we've been successful. We opened that business in 2016. Over the last 6-7 years, we've been successful. And the next step was to open our own laboratory, which is another part of the business, Medical Laboratories. So, it was hard with medical logistics. We managed to get through all the hard, obstacles, let's say. And now we back into where we started, really, because now I have another business, which is again in the starting phase. So we are facing the similar problems I have been facing back in the day, where we now just I can use my experience, of course, in resolving some of those. But one of the problems challenges we are facing right now is how do we get ourselves out there known? Because we just set up a brand new laboratory in central London. How do we go out to a client, a GP, and say, look, hi, it's us. Why don't you start using us instead of your ex-provider? This is the challenge we are working on right now.
And how are you approaching that challenge?
Yeah, so I think it's a good question. First of all, I'm trying to be very flexible and trying different approaches. So, now these days I'm in London every week. I don't live in London. I live, outside. But because of the current state of the business, or this particular time of our, in the business, I have to be heavily involved in pretty much day-to-day operations, sales process, bringing clients, getting clients, getting to know our clients. So what I'm doing, where the approach would be to be very flexible and trying different approaches. So let's say rather than just going for a sales speech, I might have to figure out, okay, how maybe I can invite GP to come to us. How do I do that? You have to do your extensive research on a particular client and then see what they might be needing. And you approach that doctor saying, hi, I see you're using this laboratory for your test, which is fine, but who is doing your blood draws, for example? Phlebotomy is a process of drawing your blood. So this is something we can do for you or your clients or your patients. We can come to your clients, visit them at their homes, take their blood, or they can come to us, get the blood drawn in our premises, and then you can still use your laboratory. So, I'm trying to be flexible from our side, but also from the perspective of the client, because it's hard to go and sell everything in one go. They say, hi, stop using your service, your laboratory you've been using for the last 10 years. Come with us, it's going to be amazing. Rather than that, I'm going to try to add value elsewhere. So maybe you can add extra service to what you're already offering. Still, you can use your current laboratory, and maybe within the next 6-12 months you will like us, and then we can go back to the conversation and say, why don't you start using our lab, or maybe partly 10% of your blood can be with us, so there is no, there is no blueprint, there is no instructions of how to approach it, how to build how to build a sales process. It's got to be, it has to be trial and error.
Yes.
You have to be very active. So you have to keep going. There's every day I've got a different idea. Okay, I need to execute on this. Then I have to delegate to my team. I say, you please focus on that. You focus on that. I'll do the rest, right? And bring me clients. Then we sit together and, see what works, what doesn't, and then change quickly. If I see things don't work over the next, within a week or two, I'm not gonna be carrying on doing it for months, because we don't have that time as a sort of new business. We have to be quick. So if I see no result in my approach in 1 or 2 weeks, I have to think something else.
I 100% agree with a lot of what you've said. So I'm going to pick out certain key points here. So number one, in relation to your sales process, you're right. Trial and error is the best way to understand what you're going to do. And I find that a lot of clients that I work with, when they come to me, they can get stuck in the planning phase rather than going out and executing. But the other thing that I'm hearing is this agile way of approaching the process. So testing, tweaking, amending as you're going along. If something's not working, you change that quickly. So I'm sure you're familiar with the startup phrase, fail fast, fail forward, right?
Yeah.
It's really important to constantly assess as you're going along. Otherwise, you're just banging your head against a brick wall. And the other thing that I really liked in what you said is, when you're approaching clients, it's thinking about getting the foot in the door. So rather than giving them the whole shebang and expecting them to jump ship straight away, think about what would be helpful for them to try out what you're doing. And then obviously, if that relationship works, you can grow that relationship further. So I really liked those 2 points that you made. The other thing I just want to pick up on, and it's just a question really out of curiosity, because I find with entrepreneurs that some of them really love the startup phase. So that's what really excites them and fires them up. And when it gets to stability, they actually get bored and then they go and start something new. So I'm curious if that is your personality.
That's very interesting. You see, up until recently, I would say no, but because of where we are now, I say yes. I know what I found out about myself. I'm most efficient in chaotic times, and where there's a chaos, this is where I thrive. So in the startup phase, when there's nothing there and you have deadlines, you have money you're running out, or you're spending money, you have to act quickly. This is what I like. I've been, over the last 2-3 years, my core business was full enough where we didn't have to worry. So it was kind of boring period for me. So the money, cash flow was there, everything was fine. Yeah, employees, operations are going well, everyone's happy, and I was bored. I did get to the point, the beginning was nice. I rested, I had some rest, but then I got bored and I was looking for other things where I can, within a business, what I can improve, what I can do. So we built a lab. It took us a year to build it. So it's a long process. And now we are back into the startup phase. And I agree. And this is, I'm learning about myself as well. That's yes. I'm one of those entrepreneurs when I think I like startup phases, even though it's a risky, you still have in the back of your mind, what if, I have employees who are depending on us, right? There's a loads of people depending on what I'll do and if I'm successful or not. So that gives you a little bit, that you can't be like in peace or completely, but I like it. It keeps me going. Yes.
No, and I think it takes a certain degree of self-awareness to realize that about yourself. It's not for everyone, that rocky startup phase, but if you love it, you love it. So obviously you're at an exciting phase for you, but in terms of what your plans are for the coming year, how do you envision the medical laboratories growing and evolving?
Yeah, so we have a few, let's say, strategies we are working on. There are a few different ways of generating income.
Mhm.
Because overall, we have to start generating income. So to answer it in one, briefly, it will be we need to start making money because we've invested money, we built a thing, we got all the tools ready. How do we utilize them and where the money will come from? We have a clinical rooms which we are working on renting them out for medical professionals and GPs. We bring GPs here. We have meetings today, tomorrow, where we're gonna sit down and say, okay, what can you bring? How can we add value to you, a doctor? And then what can we get in return? You can come and see your patients within our premises, which is amazing, 7 days a week, whatever. We can offer you everything. And then in return, what you bring with your network, with your background, because it's we can rent a room, but obviously it's not going to make enough money to pay bills and everything. This is just a way of getting your foot, as you said earlier. It's just how we're gonna get somebody in and get them to listen to us and maybe start building a relationship. I would say, by the end of the year, the plan is to be established a healthcare provider.
Mhm.
Which we have all the accreditations, everything is in place. Like I said, it's just now let's push it through. It's just this hard bit. Let's get it in motion, because once it's in motion, then it keeps going. It's just basic physics, really. We are now in this place. How do I push it forward so it gets into motion? So then we can build on top of that, keep bringing things in. So it's really about getting ourselves out there, bringing clients in, which we are already in process of doing it, and just start generating revenue so we can then focus on expanding the business and growing the business.
Yeah, and I like the way you put it about it's getting that initial momentum, and then once you do, it becomes easier to grow because you have a base of stability
Exactly.
from which to do it. Okay, so I would love to know more about how you view leadership. So, what is your definition of effective leadership, and how do you see it impacting your business?
Right. So the first word that comes to my mind when you said what is leadership is a success.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that this is what popped out in my mind. It's extremely hard work, and this is something I'm still learning. I am a leader. I think I'm naturally gifted to be a leader. I'm enjoying it, but it comes with a whole bunch of restrictions and the laws and must do's and mustn't do's. Be a leader, you basically sacrifice a lot of your rights. This is not many people think or know about this, especially as my employees, I would imagine, or being employee. You don't see a leader as I can't be friends with my employees, even though I'm a friendly person and they are very friendly. As a leader, and they might not like it, but it's actually for the good of the business and the people. So I cannot be friendly with you for various reasons, because I need to lead the business. I cannot lose my focus. And when things go wrong, I need to make a decision. Sometimes they might not be good decisions or not easy to make decisions. Or, if you're a friend with somebody, then you might want to avoid, and I've done it in the past, I think we all done it, might avoid making some decision, and then the business might suffer, and eventually everybody will suffer, and then it's on me because I am the leader. So when things go wrong, what they say, a success has got many fathers and a failure is an orphan, or something like that, right? So
I've never heard that quote, actually.
Yes, so everybody wants to be part of the success, but when things go wrong, the finger
yeah, that makes sense.
Nobody want to be part of this. I want to be part of the failure, and I will have to stand up and say, it's me, I'm sorry. But that's the leadership, and it's really hard. You have to look after the business, look after your staff, keep build a culture in your business. And working with people, managing people is extremely hard work, especially I think for people like myself. When I'm an entrepreneur, so I have ideas, I want to build things, and I need help from employees to get these things done. But it takes a lot of patience and understanding to be able to work with these people, to understand their needs. It's like with your, I've got 2 little kids, and they take so much of my energy and time, and I have to be patient with them. And then after that, I'm going back to work, and I have to be the same pretty much with my employees. I have to understand their needs. I need to make them do things for me, but then on the other hand, I can't be just a tyrant, right? So you would do this, or you're gonna get this and that. It's yeah, it's not just about being leader. Most people would think it's just about leading, providing. This is a business, we go this way. It's not. There's a whole bunch of things around it, which is a people management. Conducting yourself. I have to be a certain way. I have to be dressed. I need to dress this certain way. I can't be doing certain things. I can't be just doing stupid things in the pub around the corner from where we are based or something, because it's just, I can't. This is my sacrifice as a leader. There are certain things I have to do and things I can't anymore.
Yeah, and I think some things that pop out to me and what you said are self-leadership. So modeling behaviors to people, self-responsibility and responsibility for the business, because essentially, as you say, if the business fails, that failure is on you, and you can't blame everyone else for that. And similarly, success is actually shared between you and your team, because at the end of the day, you couldn't succeed without them. But it incorporates management of people, and that's getting the balance right between understanding their needs and helping them to get what they want, so that they can help you to get what you want. And what I find quite often with entrepreneurs is there's a sort of leadership gap, because an entrepreneur naturally is like, as you said, I have visions, I want to build things, I want to do things. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to lead and get the best out of people, which is something that you get better at over time with skills development, with experience, etc.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I have people working with me on this. I understand these are things I'm not strong enough to feel confident completely on my own. So I have people I work with on my improving my own leadership skills, especially in terms of managing people and because, like you said, the success is, I can't build business on myself. It's not me doing it. I'm the face of it, but I wouldn't be able to do anything on my own. I can't be one-man band. It's all these people around me over the years helping me be where I am now. And that's part of the leadership journey.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it kind of links into my next question, which is, how do you make sure that you continue to grow and evolve as a leader?
I surround myself with, I'm trying to surround myself with right people. I have I have people, there are lots of people with extensive experience in business, and as an entrepreneur, I have my experience, and I know it's how hard it is to start things. And we like to connect to like-minded people. So if I'm working with people who've been in the position where I am now, they're older than me, much more experience, and they provide me a guideline. We just last night I went for dinner with a friend who sold a business for 20 million pounds or something, and I was just talking to him about hardship of this and that, people management, or recent issues we have in the business, and kind of trying to take it out of me, just say it out there. And he was listening to me, and then he can come with a real life solution, what he has done in the past based on the similar problems. And then if you surround yourself with that kind of people, it makes it that much easier. Then you learn from your mistakes and their mistakes, and then it's just that's the process of getting better. And of course, by doing it, you learn by doing it. You make mistakes. I've made many. I will make many mistakes, I'm sure, but it's important to take a lesson from it.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the point. When you do make mistakes, they can actually be a good thing as long as you learn from those mistakes.
They are, essentially, yeah. As long as you learn, it's okay.
If you could go back in time and talk to your 20-year-old self, what piece of advice would you give to him?
Two advices, really. One, think big. For a long time, I was thinking small. Like if I only get there, it's going to be okay. If I thought big back then, I would be probably much sooner in where I am now. So probably saving maybe 5 years. And if you're young, so that means you have very few commitments, life commitments. Just take risks. The worst case scenario, you fail. That's fine. If you learn, I failed when my first couple of businesses. It teaches you a lesson. To be humble. But essentially, there's no consequences. You just fail. If it's you fail, you learn, you move on, and then do it again with what you learn, with your experience you already have. So think big and take risks.
Yeah, 100%. And just to come back on that point, there is literally no entrepreneur that hasn't failed at some point.
Absolutely.
And I think there needs to be more out there about, okay, well, there were numerous failures that got them to where they are now. Okay, so valuable advice, I think. And thank you so much for your time, Alex, today. It was a real pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Really nice talking to you.
And to my audience, if you would like to be involved in the Leading in the Modern Way interview series, please drop me a line. And I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Thank you and bye for now.